Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wi-Fi chats. I think this is episode 48. Usual suspects are present. Myself, Brett, Alec, Gabby. Say hello, friends. We're here today continuing our conversation, but we thought, well, maybe I thought, one of us thought it would be a good idea to dive around and talk about this topic of voyeurism and understand what the obsession is with our society in watching other people do whatever it is that they're doing. We see it everywhere. There's viral videos. We can be invited into somebody's kitchen at any day, time of the day or night to see what they're doing. And we're all signing up for it. We are there for it. So I'm wondering what this is about. I'll start off. I don't know. This is a truth blast. My guilty pleasure. I am a Real Housewives trash TV junkie. I will watch every Real Housewife franchise there is to be seen. And I am there for it. I eat it up, and I don't know why. It's part of the watching other people's drama and being happy to know that it's their drama and not mine. And there's something very intriguing for me in understanding the perspective and mindset of certain people to make whatever it is I'm watching happen. But so we're talking about voyeurism today. And I know immediately people think, well, I don't want to watch other people have sex because that's what voyeurism usually means. But it doesn't just have to be that. So it could be just watching other people engage in whatever else they're doing. And I'm using quotes loosely, private setting, right? Because nobody's private anymore. When they're doing live videos, we're supposed to think it's private, but it's not because we're all watching it. We're given a front seat view into their lives. So I'm going to open the floor to see what you guys think about this.
I just want to say that I actually wasn't thinking about watching other people have sex until you put that in my mind. But something I am aware of is that it is really popular to watch other people reacting to other people's stuff. And I could not get my head around that. I came in, my son's watching YouTube, and I'm like, what is this? It's like, oh, well, these people have done this, and he's watching and commenting on it. And I was like, and you're watching him, and now you're commenting on it to me. And he's like, and I was, okay, I'm going to leave this because otherwise I'm going to have to find somebody and comment on your comments, and which in fact I'm doing now. And then, good Lord. But I am aware that, especially because we are infants in this social media thing, but people find somebody who's really popular. There's a guy called Ren at the moment. He's in a band called Big Push as well. And he's got a really interesting insight into mental illness. He actually had Lyme's disease and was pushed from pillar to post with all sorts of diagnoses, bipolar and schizo and all these sorts of things. Turns out he just had Lyme disease, and he's made some really gritty, dark videos and great music about this, and that's great, and he's doing really well. But then there's people who are watching his videos, psychologists, people like us basically, and referencing it, and they're getting almost as many hits and likes as the original. And I have to admit, I struggle to get my head around that.
I can speak on this because I actually do that. I am one of those that will watch other people watch something. And again, it's like TV stuff. You'll watch a set of people watching a playback of something else that has happened. And I watch that. It's pure comedy gold for me. I think that's why I watch it, because I thoroughly enjoy watching other people's reactions to something. I find it to be funny. I find it to be insightful. It's the main reason why we all go straight to a comment section on a post on Facebook. We go straight to the comments. I want to see what the people out there are saying. And 9 out of 10 times, I am in fits of hysterical laughter with the things that people are commenting or what they say. So I think that's part of it for me. The attraction of that is what that is for me.
For me as well, it's the entertainment factor. I'm proud to say that I never watched an episode of Kardashians, Big Brother, or anything like that, because that would just bore me to death. But I'm a big fan of where people watch television programs and they're filmed watching it on the sofa. And when that concept came out
We lost
first,
you.
I was like,
I think
what are
we've
they
lost-
doing? But
Just
when I saw the
while we-
first episode, Sorry?
We lost you for a minute. So what were you watching?
Oh, sorry. Programs where people watch television programs and they're filmed sitting on the sofa watching the television programs.
Yes, that exactly. It's hysterical.
This one I find hilarious, and I must admit, I'm watching that. I'm watching the British one. I'm watching the Irish one because it's just funny. And then they have the same people all the time, and it's almost like you're in their living room. It's almost like we talked, I think, 2 episodes ago about community. You almost feel to become your friends. It's almost like a community. And I remember in the British one, there was two old ladies. They were so funny, and one died, and the other one stopped doing it, and I was really sad because I had the feeling I knew them by now, right? So. For me, it's the same, Erika. It's when it's funny, when it's comedy, I watch it. Otherwise, I'm not interested. I just couldn't care less what the Kardashians are up to or what they're talking about in Big Brother. I just don't care. So,
Erika mentioned comments, and I've been trying to remember this comedian's name, and I just can't at the moment. And he used to do this thing called a found poem at the end of his show, and he would just go in and he would take all of the comments out of various things, and he would link them together. He would deliver them in a poetic form, and often there would be a violinist playing in the background or something. And I swear I have never seen my now ex-wife George's mum laugh so hard, and it was not uncommon for us both to be sort of on our hands and knees trying to take a breath. And it was just legendary, the things that people write and his delivery of it. So even that, he's taken commenting on something and made that into a comedic art form. Bloody hilarious.
You
Go
can
ahead,
do
Brett.
anything now on with social media, even going to the point of going to your daily restaurant and saying, hey, these are the hostess for the day, and talking about the food and what you like from there. And people from the area would probably tune in because it's, oh my God, these are all the places around me. And the next thing you got a channel, you're going to these places and you just bounce from place to place, see the people that work there, meet them, talk about the food, go on to the next one. Short clips. It's like the reels. There's so many different ways of being out there these days that it's amazing. You wouldn't be able to do it anywhere else or at any other time because now is the time for it, right?
Well, it's really interesting because when we're talking about voyeurism, right, which is essentially, I don't know the exact definition, but it's something like watching somebody else engage without maybe their knowledge even that you're doing it, right? But because we all know that social media it's put there for us to watch. It takes away the I'm watching you without you knowing aspect of it, but yet we still want to watch. What is it about this? What is it ticking off for us that, oh, hey, is it because it's almost forbidden? Hey, I get to look in on what you're doing. Because if you were doing it in real life, you'd be arrested for peeping. It's like, you're peeping, Tom, get the hell out of here. Stop. But there's something inviting. I don't know what the appeal is in being over here and just being able to watch somebody exist in their world the way that they do.
I wonder if it has to do with, oh, look, I'm quite normal, or even the idea I'm not too bad, there's somebody madder than me.
That makes total sense to me. That's why I watched The Housewives, because when Jared was younger, I would watch The Housewives, and every time I'd be like, I'm a good mom. I know it. Because it's always on here. Ask Brett, it's on. And when Jared was younger, he might come in and see it on, and he would sit there and he'd look. And then at one point, he said to me, all they do is cry and drink wine. What's going on? I'm like, I don't know, but how do you feel having a mom who isn't crying and drinking wine all the time? And he's like, I gotta go. And I think there's some truth to that. Holy shit, look at all this drama. Oh my God, look at how she can't maintain friendships. What is it about her that she's doing? And I quite often will say, I could never be friends with X, Y, or Z. And this is why. It's sort of like go through my own, it's happening here. And I tell you, there's a piece of me that wants to slide into their DMs and be like, I have a program that you might be interested in. It'll help you deal with your grief. Brett thinks I should do it. He's like, you'll be famous. You'll be on TV because somebody's going to do it and whatever. But I don't know. That's what it is for me.
So I just want to give him his due. The comedian I was talking about's name is Dave Gorman, and he is hilarious. If you have ever sat through a boring PowerPoint presentation, go and look him up, because I wish I could present on PowerPoint in the way that he does. But I just want to, because all they do is cry and drink wine. And it does lead to this kind of comparison. So I don't know if it's a deliberate thing to make us feel better, but I also wonder if you were to slide into their DMs, and I was for a minute thinking of the British Boots, Dr. Martens, but I realised you meant messages. So I've saved myself from that cultural faux pas. But what would happen? Can you imagine if you were then picked up? I'm going to go and meet with Erika and Nadu, and she's going to help me with my grief. And then they've got cameras in your thing, because this is not going to be a confidential consultation. Would you risk yourself? Would you risk the scrutiny of that?
Me? And my answer is always, I'm going to still be who I am. So you want to film me getting real with this person? You got to ask her if she's going to be happy with that, because I'm going to be like, what the fuck, man? What part are you playing in this kind of thing? I'm definitely not going to tell you what you want to hear. They might edit me right out of there. Who knows? I have no clue. But I have yet to slide into anybody's DM, because I don't know. For me, it's a social experiment when I voyeur into this, right? They're putting their lives out there for us to watch. And it's more of an experiment for me. I'm really intrigued by what kind of mindset it takes to actually allow yourself to be put out on these giant platforms the way that you are, right? There's all sorts of crazy reality show TVs that allow us to take a look in. And I watch them from a strictly, wow, what is that going on there? Intrigued, holy crap, how people engage and interact with each other. I find that to be super interesting.
It's interesting what just came up for me, because when we talk about that, the question is why would people do that? Why would you put yourself out there like that? And then I'm thinking maybe that's because we just got used to it. It started in television with these reality programs at the time. And I knew in America and in Ireland, TV producers, and I can tell you now that the reality TV we were looking back at the day, 90% of it was scripted. It wasn't reality TV, right? Even shows like Jerry Springer, a lot of the cases were actors that was made up. It wasn't real. So this happened, right? But we got so used to the idea that when social media hit and people said, oh, I can record myself, we got used to it that it's not a taboo anymore. If somebody would have done that in the 60s, people would have gone, what a nut job. But at that stage, it had become complete normality. And then with the added bonus that if you get enough people watching you, you're making money. People probably just don't care anymore. And you never know what's going on in the background, because they might be filming reality. As soon the camera switch off, it's still a performance in the end of the day, because the minute they switch off their camera, we don't know what the guy is really doing in his life, who, as Brett described, is filming in a restaurant, right? We watch maybe a mom and with their kids doing reality, social media, family. We have absolutely no idea what's happening in family as soon as the camera is turned off. So in a way, how real are they really? I'm sure they all present themselves in a way they look good, or in a way they think they get more followers, but the camera is switched off at some stage.
It's funny the way life mimics art and the other way around, because again, my memory is failing me, and one of you will know this movie, I know. The Jim Carrey movie, where his entire life, he's the only person in The Truman Show, thank you. And I can remember when that was released, there were psychologists and psychiatrists talking about what an act of evil this would be to impose on a person. And it created a bit of a stir. There was a lot of emotional outpouring towards this poor kid that's gone through this life. And yet here we are mimicking it. And if there's one thing that has come out to me every time I've sort of seen my son watching this stuff, it's how bloody wealthy these people are as a result. And I've ended up thinking to myself, do you know what? If you can have a YouTube channel and make $10 million a year by doing whatever it is you do, I think that's probably better than spending your entire life in a dead end career like I did, and coming out with not a huge amount to show for it. So I can't really criticize anyone for thinking, do you know what? If people want to watch this stuff, I'm going to go live, I'm going to do it. And if I make a few bucks out of it, then so be it.
So the difference between the Truman Show is that he didn't know he was being recorded. That's what made it so addictive for the people in the movie, right? To want to keep watching because he had no idea. So it was really voyeurism at its truest form. The way we see reality TV or even people videoing on social, like they fully know what they're doing. So to Gabby's point about it still being a performance, yes. But so that even makes it more intriguing to me how you can get some people on these Real Housewives shows who are doing things that are shady, that are getting them into trouble in real life, but yet they still put themselves out on this platform to be seen and watched. It's like, does that take? What is going on there? We're all going to know your lives. And because I love true crime so much, like I know the dark side of some reality stuff where people in real life have lost their lives, have blown up because of it. Like stuff happens, yet you're still willing to do it. So this is what is intriguing to me about that. I would never allow a television camera to come into my home and watch my life like that. That is much different than intentionally making a recording of me choosing a meal at a restaurant because I'm wanting viral views. Different. What goes on up here to get people to do that? Brett, you got something to say?
I was just agreeing. Some people like to be watched, right? And that's goes even into like going to the city. And that there's a whole part of just city life that you have your window and you look out your window and you got all these other windows. And some people they just like to be watched. And it's not even like TV, it's life. And you can sit there and just stare out your window watching everybody else. And there's like a whole life, like a whole way of living that, oh yeah, such and such night they do XYZ and then they do XYZ and do this on this night. It's like a whole way of living I'm fully not aware of that goes on. When you're in the city and you visit somebody's place and talk about it, it's just amazing. It really is. And then you bring the social media and the shows, and so it's not a surprise that they would make movies and stuff.
Do you know, it reminded me of Friends and Ugly Naked Guy. And I'm thinking, if somebody was living in those sorts of environments, actually setting your phone up and just watching out on your street. But Erika mentioned being arrested like as a peeping Tom, and you're winding back the clock a long way here. But back in my early days of being a young probationary police officer, we had reports same time of day of a peeping Tom. So we decided to take action. And sure enough, this person is walking along the back of these flats and he's looking. So I declare myself as a police officer. They take off. I caught them quite easily on account of the fact that they were running in high heels, not to be recommended choice of footwear for. It's like Erika's comment earlier on about sneakers. You don't race in high heels. And I was doing nothing more than what back in the day we'd have called cross-dressing. He just wanted to see what he looked like. So he was walking along the back of the flats round about dusk, twilight time, when people were starting to put their lights on, because it mirrored him and he wanted to see his reflection. And I don't take any pleasure in this, ended up being arrested and criminalised for something that now, if he did it with them poles, you know what I'm talking about, yeah, stick, thank you. He did that now, walking along, he'd probably get tens of thousands of views. So there's been a change as well culturally in the sort of things that are considered to be acceptable, I would say.
I think this is interesting because now not only do we have those of us who like to watch, according to Brett's comment, we have those of us who like to be watched. Different animal, but of the same species. You know what I mean? It's like to be watched. So I'm going to let you watch me. And there's a whole lot of you out there who like to watch. So it just works. It's a good formula.
When you don't like to be watched, then close your blinds.
I do.
Put something in front of your window. Like, I don't know. It's weird, man. I don't know. I shut
Maybe
blinds. I don't know.
maybe some people don't
Yeah, I
think
think there
they're
was
being
always
watched.
people who like to be watched.
Yeah.
Sure.
Everybody's got that thing. It makes them feel a certain way. Who knows? It'd be interesting to get somebody on here who likes to be watched and see what the feelings are and what they like to be watched. What does it do for you? And what do you like about being watched?
I'm going to tie this back to us as who we are and the work that we do and are aspiring to do, and how putting ourselves out there is sometimes a struggle, right? And I'm wondering the connection between, is it I don't like to be watched, or is it really I'm afraid to be seen? There's a difference there, right? Like, I put myself out there, you're going to watch. And I have to be ready for that.
Or in our case, not, because of our paucity of subscribers. No, come next video, because it's our 50th and we're all going to wear party hats, and Brett has promised us party poppers.
We shall see.
2 videos. Today's the 48th, right? So we have 2 more. Yes. Anybody, you guys got final thoughts on this so we can wrap up the voyeuristic?
I think nothing has changed. There was always people who loved to watch. There was always people who loved to be watched. Nothing has changed. The only thing which changed is the accessibility in the media, the form how we can do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, yeah, it just has changed how we can get out there, how we can be seen, or how we can watch other people. I think that's the only difference in the end of the day. And with your first comment, Erika, I'm saying this is, you said voyeurism and sex. I remember I've been in Hamburg on a holiday back in the 80s. And everybody who is in Europe has heard about the infamous Reeperbahn. It's the red light district in Hamburg, and it's all legal. So it's all legal, right? Prostitution is everything is legal there, and they have these clubs. And what they also have is fantastic music venues. So the Beatles, for example, started their career big time exactly Reeperbahn in Hamburg. So they have loads of music clubs. And I went with my friend to a salsa club. And salsa back in the 80s was kind of new to Europe, wasn't really around. So it was very exciting to go. But as we walked to the music venue, there was this strip club, right? And these 2 fellows tried to get us into the strip club, which I couldn't understand, because usually they get the men in, they wouldn't ask women. But she started laughing because this strip club had a twist. It was actually for normal women who like to be seen to go in and strip. And a lot of them came with their husbands who enjoyed to see the women strip in front of other men. For me, this was a concept I couldn't quite understand. We went to salsa instead. I just want to point this out here, right? So it was always there. It's just the medium has changed.
No, I get it. I get it. No other way to feel alive than to just strip in front of people. You know, somebody likes it.
I was sure Gabby was saying, so we
went in.
But I think Gabby's probably right about all of these things are part of the human psyche. It's just that in this age that we are in, people have found ways to digitize and monetize absolutely everything. And I'm sure there are probably people, marketers and the like, who sit around working out what elements of the things that make us tick be approached and adapted in this way.
It also doesn't feel like there's any cap to what people will put out there, right? That has shifted slightly also, where nothing seems to be off limits to what for our viewing pleasure. I'll just put it that way. Brett, you have any final thoughts before we wrap this up? Sorry, Gabby, did you want to say something?
One more thing. I actually had a conversation like this with friends the other day. I don't know how we got to it, but since there's social media, the peeping toms have disappeared. I remember every town in the old days had one fellow in a trench coat, right? Going, ta-da! Everybody, I don't know one person who the girls didn't know there was this fellow usually at that time at that corner. They're gone completely since the social media. Did you ever realize that?
Yeah, they're all subscribed to OnlyFans now. That's the thing. So they'll all be making money somehow. I'm convinced of it. Brett, you got final thoughts for us?
Well, it's all welcome. Bring who you are. It's all good. It's our lives and how we choose to live it. That's the beauty, I think. And just seeing what it is, I think that's what the most interesting thing in being seen. People want to be seen. So some people like to see what it is to be seen. You never know. So bring it all. Don't be shy. It's your life.
Interesting, because I'm wondering if those of us who not visible on social media, meaning or anywhere, whatever that means, do we occupy a space of judging those that are willing to be out there because we think that they're doing something wrong? Or are we judging because, damn, I wish I was making $6,000 a month, whatever. So stop judging and start opening your screens. I don't know.
No, I was just as Brett was speaking and he was saying all things are welcome. I was actually kind of mentally congratulating us. We can go back to magnificence here and magnanimity, that actually we had been extremely non-judgmental about all this stuff. Yes, there's admission that I don't quite understand it, and there's comparison, and there's the glad that they do these things because it makes me feel better about my mumming. Actually, there was very little judgment, like bad or wrong, or should be shamed by this, and I think that's quite commendable. So, thank you all.
Good way to end our episode. So I guess we'll say goodbye for now. Our details are down below, and stay tuned for our next episode. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks.